What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cinema Trip Reviews. I am Wyatt, and today on the show, I'm going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. If you haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Cinema Trip Reviews. Also, wherever you get podcasts, drop and leave us a good review. So, of course, I am talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, the hotly anticipated, widely anticipated film of the year, not just the summer, of the whole damn year. Everybody's expecting this movie to be a huge hit. I mean, it's already a huge hit. It's like one of the highest grossing R-rated movies of all time opening weekend, from what I understand, if I got that correct. But everybody's expecting this to be the biggest movie of the whole damn year, not just the summer. I mean, one reason, of course, is you have Ryan Reynolds coming back as the Merc with the Mouth, Deadpool. It's been a while since we actually had a Deadpool movie, so it's awesome to see him coming back into the role. And of course, the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I mean, I don't even know if you can get another Wolverine at this point. It's going to have to be way in the future, just because of how locked in and how he really embodies that character of Wolverine better than I think anybody could at this point. And I mean, they mentioned it a couple times in the movie, but I have a feeling that Marvel is going to keep trying to get Hugh Jackman to come back in this role until he's like 90 years old at this point. Now, I'm really not trying to get into spoilers at all in this review. I'm trying to keep this one a little bit more compact and concise, just because I want everybody to kind of go in without really knowing much of anything. I know that's hard to do this day and age with social media and everything. Literally, I saw the movie opening weekend, and that evening I was seeing clips of it on Twitter, on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. I'm seeing reels and shorts of clips from this movie already, just in theaters, just cam footage. And it kind of reminds me just how much I hate the kind of times we're living as far as social media and new releases, because so many people are getting, certain elements of all these movies and certain surprises or cameos or just twists in these movies that are being spoiled for them way ahead of time. Not everybody can go out to the theaters and check these movies out as soon as they release. Some people don't even get to the theaters to actually see these movies. They have to wait until it comes out on digital or, streaming or, Blu-ray or what have you. It's really hard nowadays to kind of keep things secret unless you're just completely off social media altogether, which is probably a good idea, to be honest, for the mental health. But luckily, I went into this movie really not knowing too much at all. I mean, I did have one specific cameo spoiled for me, and it wasn't too huge or anything because there's a lot of other surprises in the movie as well. Now, the story itself in the movie is very thin. I mean, overall, without giving a lot away, this movie is pretty much just 2 hours of fan service and memes and cameos and surprises. And I'm not too mad at that, to be honest. If this was like any other Marvel movie, I kind of would be upset with that because that's kind of what you would expect at this point in time. But with a character like Deadpool that is just constantly just joking around, making fun and making light of everything, and just having the potential to break the fourth wall or kind of go in and just kind of have some self commentary about the MCU or Fox or just the state of superhero movies in general. It's kind of refreshing in a way because you're not able to get a lot of this commentary and a lot of these opinions in any of these other superhero movies or MCU movies in general. So it's really refreshing. Now, you would think, just kind of hearing that in general without seeing the movie, it would be kind of hard to have 2 hours of just fan service and cameos and surprises. But to me, honestly, it really works because this movie, I found it hilarious the whole way through. I was laughing the whole way through. That doesn't really have too many down moments. I mean, they have a couple moments where they try to bring out some heart in the movie, especially with like Wolverine's character. They really try to kind of hit some emotional points. They do have a couple of those with Deadpool as well. I just think they work well with Wolverine's character overall, just because of everything that this character's been through, not just in this movie, but just Wolverine as a whole throughout, how many years, 24 years, 25 years we've been seeing this character in live action. It really is effective in that way because we have been following this character and just Hugh Jackman in general as his character for so damn long. Now, I'm not going to say that the story beats with Deadpool don't have some level of emotion to them. They just don't hit as hard as Wolverine because of how thin the story is overall for Deadpool. And without going into spoilers, you kind of get the general plot from the trailers that have been releasing regarding the movie. Something going on within Deadpool's universe that is threatening it. He has to find a way to fix it. That way he can save everybody he cares about. So to kind of save Deadpool's universe and his friends, he goes on, of course, a wacky adventure with Wolverine. And it just kind of goes throughout a whole array of hijinks and shenanigans. And I don't even know if you want to call, there are a couple cameos, but I don't even know if you want to call some of the characters we get in this movie as cameos because they are actually pretty plot centric. They're pretty important to the plot in certain ways. So I wouldn't even really call them cameos. They're just, characters in the movie, and some characters that are very surprising that are in this movie as well. And I'm not going to go into who they are because, of course, I want everybody to be super surprised. All I'm going to say is there is one character in this movie that kind of had my jaw drop to the floor, and I was super surprised. And I just cannot wait for everybody to see this character in the Marvel universe. Is amazing. Now, to be straight up front, because I believe this is the first MCU Marvel movie I've actually reviewed on the channel. I normally do some superhero reviews with heroes of our time with my buddy Vernon, who I actually went and saw the movie with. By the way, we are not done with Heroes of Our Time and is on a brief hiatus as of right now. We will be coming back with a new episode eventually here, but I haven't really been closely following the MCU over maybe the past couple years. I have been kind of picking and choosing which movies I want to see, like as far as like Spider-Man, Deadpool, some of my favorite characters I actually want to go to the theaters to see. Throughout the first like 5-10 years of the MCU, I was catching every single movie, but superhero fatigue has really set in with me. So I've been kind of just being picky and choosy on which ones I kind of digest. Vernon, on the other hand, he's one that is diving into every single movie that comes out. He is watching everything, every movie, every series that Marvel releases. Vern is, he's there. He's first. He's trying to see everything. So after watching the movie, he's kind of told me that there is a lot of elements in this movie that are tied to the Loki series, which I didn't watch, unfortunately, just because I just don't have enough time to be going out watching Marvel series on top of like 10 hours of Marvel movies that I missed. I just can't do it. But he was telling me that there was a lot of big elements from the Loki series that were present in this movie. And to be honest, without seeing the Loki series, it didn't really take away anything from the movie for me. I was getting everything that was coming at me. I was getting everything that was explained in the movie. I feel like not seeing the series didn't take away from the movie at all for me. Now, for like a viewer that hasn't been watching like the MCU movies or even superhero movies in general over the past 20 years, I feel like a lot of the stuff in this movie is going to go straight over your head because there's not only just a lot of references to the Marvel universe, there's a lot of references to superhero movies in general through the past 20 years, whether it's the Sony movies, whether it's just older Marvel movies that were going on before the MCU was even created. There's a lot of references to those, and just the MCU in general. There's so many references to superhero movies as a whole in this movie. If you haven't been paying attention through the past 20 years, you're not going to get a lot of what happens in this movie. So say it's like my fiance who's going into this movie who hasn't been paying attention to any Marvel or superhero movies. She was kind of familiar with some of the 90s ones, some of the earlier 2000s superhero movies. She may get a couple of references here and there, but overall, she's not going to get a lot of what's happening in this movie. So say if you're not a huge superhero fan, maybe you've just only seen the first two Deadpool movies, you may not get a lot of what's happening in this movie. And that's kind of a detriment to it in a way, because I would say, at least personally, I would say the first two Deadpool movies are very self-contained. Yeah, they have some references to like the X-Men and some like the Avengers or what have you. But I feel like you can go into the Deadpool movies without knowing the MCU or without knowing a lot of the backstory through some of these characters or X-Men or even Deadpool. They're very self-contained movies. You can watch them without watching anything else within, the superhero genre. With Deadpool 3, not only should you watch the first two Deadpool movies, but you should be watching pretty much almost all the MCU movies and a lot of the other previous Marvel movies or just superhero movies in general. I would say I'm a casual Marvel fan. I do catch a lot of the main things that are in there. I caught damn near every single reference that they had in this that was throwing out. I caught a lot of the jokes that were in there. Yeah, there were some elements from the Loki TV series I kind of knew about because even though I didn't watch it, I would see articles about Loki. I don't want to go so far as to say this movie's kind of alienating some audiences, but I feel like they're at the point now where they expect everybody that's going to see the movie to kind of have some knowledge of the Marvel universe and everything that's been happening leading up to this. But it's going to be hard for some viewer that's just a fan of the first two Deadpool movies to come into this movie and just know everything that's going to be happening. I feel like a lot of jokes and a lot of references and a lot of things are going to be going straight over people's heads. And I mean, there's going to be some things that a lot of people are going to find funny. There's a lot of funny elements and a lot of jokes in this movie, especially with Deadpool, that aren't tied to the MCU or that aren't tied to superheroes in general. There's a lot of funny shit in here, but I just feel like as a movie overall, if you're not knowledgeable of the superhero movies or superhero genre in general, you're going to miss a lot of stuff in this. So I wouldn't suggest seeing this movie if you don't know a lot about what's been happening in the superhero movies over the past 20 so years. But as far as like the content in it, like I mentioned, this movie is absolutely hilarious. I was having a great time with this movie. It's one of the most enjoyable movie theater experiences I had in quite a while, just because it's been a while since I've actually been in like a packed, crowded theater because I haven't gone to like an opening weekend of a Marvel movie in quite a long time. So it was nice to actually be in a packed theater and having the audience react to a lot of the stuff that was happening to him. You know, some of the surprises that were in the movie, some of the cameos, some of the big things that happened towards the climax of the movie. You know, you were getting a loud pop from this theater and a lot of the people in the theater, you know, and it just adds to the overall, you know, theater experience, the movie going experience. And with Deadpool, of course, you have like a ton of swearing, a ton of raunchy jokes in there. I wouldn't say this movie is as nearly as raunchy as the first two Deadpools. They go way further with the raunchiness with Deadpool 1 and 2. They I wouldn't say they tone it down by any means, being with Disney and the MCU. It's more so just leaning towards, you know, just the explicit, you know, F bombs here and there. They don't really go as far with like the sexual innuendos or a lot of sexual references in this movie. They kind of left those for the first two Deadpools. There's some things here and there that are thrown around by Deadpool that are still equally as hilarious. They just don't go nearly as far with them in this movie as they do in the first two. The Merc with the Mouth is back. He is foul mouth as ever. They definitely don't, you know, skimp on the F bombs in this movie. They really don't skimp on the blood and the gore. I'm really glad that they went the route that they did as far as the blood and gore and as far as the fight scenes. Because everybody knows watching by the trailers, you have a fight scene. You have a couple fight scenes between Deadpool and Wolverine in this movie, and they really spare no expense. They really don't skimp on the action. They give the fans what they want. And that's the whole movie. This movie is just fan service. The story in the movie itself isn't really much to write home about, but you're here for the fan service and they give it to you throughout the whole damn movie. And that's what really makes it that much more enjoyable. If this was any other MCU movie, I would say that is kind of a bad thing, but with it being Deadpool and him always throwing out references and breaking the fourth wall, it works. It works in this grand scheme of things. It works within this self-contained story. And actually, with the ending of the movie, I am very interested to see how they go about going forward with this. Are they actually going to continue the Deadpool series? Are they going to incorporate this into like a wider MCU type thing? It's going to be interesting to see how they proceed with the character of Deadpool. I'm hoping they kind of fast track another one to come out a little bit sooner. That way we don't have as long of a wait between, you know, this one and Deadpool 4 as we had between Deadpool 2 and this one. But just based off of what people were seeing in the trailers and what everybody kind of knows up front, yes, we do get Wolverine in the classic costume, and it is as amazing as you see in a lot of the trailers and the promo. It's amazing. It's great to see that yellow and blue costume on the big screen. And I feel like it would have been harder to bring that costume into any of the other movies they had Wolverine in, but within this story with Deadpool and with, you know, the comedic elements and some of the story routes that it takes, it makes perfect sense to have this costume. And they really go all out to show this costume all up front. And not only just this costume, but Wolverine's abilities as well. They really make a point to show you elements of Wolverine that we haven't seen throughout any of these other movies that he's been in, as far as like fighting and what he's capable of in a fight and what he's able to do and kind of the abuse that he's able to take. And also, I can kind of say the same with Deadpool in a way. I mean, we have seen a lot of what Deadpool is capable of in those first two movies, but they really go out and show you what he's capable of in this movie. And kind of the same thing with Wolverine, what he's really the kind of the abuse that he's able to take and also the abuse he's able to give violently with his weapons and also verbally as well. As far as directing goes, Sean Levy did a fantastic job with this. There are actually a lot of creative shots and awesome, you know, angles that he incorporated within this movie that I feel like you don't get through a lot of the other MCU movies. I mean, we got a lot of creative different things with the second Doctor Strange movie because that was Sam Raimi. You know, they let Sam Raimi cook with that one. He was able to do what he's, you know, known for. So with Sean Levy, he was actually able to incorporate a lot of interesting shots that were used, especially during some of these fight scenes and, some of the showdowns that we have in this movie. A lot of, creative shots that were incorporated in this. I'm not saying there was anything like super groundbreaking by any means, but with these characters, I really liked how they incorporated the shots, especially with some of the abilities of some of these characters in this movie. Like I mentioned, this movie is so hard to talk about or review as a whole without going into great detail and without going into spoilers. So I'm going to try to cut this off here and now. Maybe I'll have a live stream or maybe a spoiler review down the road. I mean, we'll eventually, way, way, way down in the future, me and Vernon will cover this movie on, Heroes of Our Time episode. Then we can really get into spoilers. This is right off of opening weekend. I'm really not trying to spoil anything for all of you. But for those who haven't seen the movie, overall, I think you definitely should go see this movie in theaters. You're going to be laughing your ass off the whole time. You're going to be having an amazing time in the theater, especially with everybody in the theater reacting to everything that's happening throughout the movie. There's so many damn surprises. There's a couple little twists and turns here and there, a couple little cameos, some really surprising things that happen in the movie. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that maybe a lot of people will catch that I didn't catch because I don't watch a lot of the series or some of the other Marvel movies. So I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that maybe I have missed that some other people are going to pick up on, maybe some jokes in there that I didn't pick up on. But overall, just keeping up with superhero movies in general, if you have been doing that for the past 20 or so years, you're going to have a blast with this movie. You're going to be getting all the jokes. You're going to have an amazing time at the movies. And I just want to say, like, Ryan Reynolds, he's Ryan Reynolds. He did an amazing job as Deadpool in this movie and all the other ones. I mean, he's just made for this character. I can't see anybody playing the character of Deadpool other than Ryan Reynolds. Same thing with Hugh Jackman. And I just want to say, Hugh Jackman, he had an amazing part with Logan. That movie was absolutely phenomenal. There's a couple points in this movie where you really get to see how fucking great of an actor Hugh Jackman is. There's a couple of them in this movie, and I'm just like, damn, that, like, in an MCU movie, in this type of movie where it's just like pretty much nonstop jokey, hilarious, raunchy jokes type movie, to have some grounded, like, emotional moments, and you really get to see Hugh Jackman's acting ability. It's amazing. And it just really makes you appreciate Hugh Jackman as an actor. He said that he had the most fun he ever had working on a movie with this. So hopefully he's able to kind of want to come back in the future for even more movies, whether it's an X-Men movie or, if it's another Deadpool Wolverine movie, who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see what Hugh Jackman wants to do going forward with this, because I feel like Marvel will give him just a blank check any damn time that he feels, eager to come back to the role. Marvel will have a blank check waiting for him. And I'm sure Ryan Reynolds will kind of be in his ear throughout the next couple of years, just kind of, hey man, like, maybe we could come back, do it again. Maybe Wolverine get his own movie. I mean, with the multiverse that is happening within the MCU as of right now, the possibilities are endless on what we could do. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. just got announced as Doctor Doom. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless as of right now. What can happen with Hugh Jackman? What can happen with Wolverine and with Deadpool and some of the other characters that we see in this movie? I can't wait. I mean, I haven't been this excited coming out of a Marvel movie in quite a long time. So, I mean, I cannot wait to see what Marvel has cooking up their sleeves next, what Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool have cooking up their sleeves next. I cannot wait to see the next Deadpool movie, what they're able to do with that, especially coming off of this one. Because as much as I like the first two, this one definitely takes the cake. This one is the best out of all three so far. And this is probably the best Marvel movie we've seen in a long time, at least personally. But I'm not going to get into any spoilers. Sorry for a lot of the folks that did watch the movie that were coming here to see my thoughts on some of the spoilers. Like I mentioned, maybe I'll get to that down the line. Maybe I'll do like a live stream or something like that so we can talk about those. It's kind of hard to do like a buy it, rent it, or miss it with a movie that's in theaters currently. So I'm just going to say this is a must see. Go see this movie in theaters. You have to go see this. If you aren't able to catch us in theaters, see this movie as soon as it is available on VOD, digital, Blu-ray, or what have you. This movie I'm going to be copping immediately as soon as it comes out on Blu-ray, along with the first two Deadpools, because for some reason I don't own those. I need to make sure to go out and get those when this one comes out, or maybe get like the trilogy pack. I'm sure they're going to have some kind of fucking box set when this movie releases. But overall, this is a must-see movie. Definitely go check out this movie in theaters as soon as you can. If you have seen the movie, make sure to let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, so on and so forth. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe as always. Make sure to go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Cinema Trip Reviews. Make sure to go check us out wherever you get your podcast. Drop in and leave us a good review there as well. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. I'll see you next time.